Good afternoon. Welcome to the Samceda 2018 Awards of Excellence. I'm Sherry Sager, and I have the honor of being the chair of the board of directors for the San Mateo County Economic Development Association, better known as Samceda. On behalf of the organization and our board, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our Innovators 2018 Awards of Excellence, honoring San Mateo County companies for their innovation and entrepreneurship. We have a distinguished group of award recipients, including Daniela Gasparini, who is this year's David D. Bohannon Memorial Award recipient. And I'm not sure if we have anything in our awardees to top the robot from last year, but I'm sure that you will find it both enlightening and intriguing. And I want to really thank you. This is, I think, the largest crowd we've ever had for this event. And we are so grateful to Oracle for providing these facilities. And Randy, I don't know if you're here. I thought I saw you earlier. And we really appreciate that, but we're getting close to outgrowing this space, which is both good and bad, because this is such a wonderful place for us to have our event. I want to thank the board of directors for Samceda, the officers and directors. They're incredible. They're extremely dedicated. They, come to our meetings. They participate online. They come to events, and they contribute not only to Samceda as a board, but individually with their companies to the life and the quality of life here in San Mateo County. So I would like to ask all of my fellow Samceda board members to please rise and be acknowledged. They are an incredible group of folks to work with. And then one of those phrases that started to make its way into public parlance in the 80s was public-private partnerships. And that really works on multiple levels, both as individual companies, working with governments, but also working with our elected officials. And we are very grateful for our strong partnership with the state, the region, and local government, and I would also add the federal government, because without them, we might not have some of the money we have for Caltrans and Caltrain and other kind of transit agent programs. And I'd like to ask that they stand to be acknowledged as their names are read. And even when you think you know how to pronounce everyone's name correctly, you mess up. So this is my disclaimer ahead of time. If I mess up anybody's name, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to. So, and in no particular order, but we'll start with the Sheriff of San Mateo County, Carlos Bolanos. The President of the San Mateo County Harbor District and Board, Virginia Chang Corrali. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even read the second line. She's also a board member of the Menlo Park Fire Protection District. From the city of Burlingame, we have the Vice Mayor, Donna Colson. From the city of San Mateo, we have Council Member Joe Goethals. From San Mateo County, Supervisor Don Horsley. From the city of Burlingame, Council Member Ann Keegren. City of Brisbane, Council Member Cliff Lentz. The Mayor of the City of Daly City, Jessalyn Manalo. Mayor Pro Tem from the City of South San Francisco, Carol Matsumoto. The Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Menlo Park, Ray Mueller. The Mayor of the City of South San Francisco, Liza Normandy. The Mayor of the City of Menlo Park, Peter Otaki. The Controller from the County of San Mateo, Juan Ragoza. Council Member, City of Belmont, Charles Stone. And it's really hard to get state legislators here on a weekday, so I am really pleased to introduce, it feels like half my table, but from State Senator Jerry Hill's office, we have Jeffrey Liu. From State Assemblyman Kevin Mullen's office, Mario Rendon. And from State Assemblyman Mark Berman's office, we have, now Zach, what was that last name again? No, Zach Ross. And it gives me a great deal of pleasure now to introduce the President and Chief Executive Officer of Samceda, Roseanne Faust. I added the staff.
Thank you, Sherry, and thank you to the Samceda Board of Directors, and actually thank you to everyone in this room. This is a great crowd. This is a fabulous event. I get so excited about this. I don't sleep that well the few nights before, so this is just a great opportunity to honor the Bohannon Award winner and the most innovative companies in San Mateo County. But before we get into that program, I'd like to thank our sponsors, because as any of you know who do events like this, we can't do what we do without these companies and these sponsors, and we are incredibly grateful. I mean, the amount of logos up on that screen, but I'm going to call them out and I'm going to go quickly. Bay Meadows Land Company, BKF Engineers, Bohannon Development, the County of San Mateo, Facebook, Genentech, Google, Greenland USA, J. Paul, Lucille Packard Children's Hospital, Stanford, Oracle, PG&E, Recology San Mateo County, Samtrans Caltrain, the San Francisco International Airport, Sequoia Hospital, a Dignity Health member, and Wells Fargo Bank are our platinum members. And today is our board member and one of our sponsors, Sunil's birthday from Wells Fargo. So happy birthday, Sunil. I'd sing happy birthday, but then I'm not sure he'd come back to a board meeting. So I would also like to thank our corporate sponsors. We are very grateful because Sherry mentioned public-private partnerships, and we have the City of Menlo Park, who's one of our corporate sponsors, the City of San Mateo, Embarcadero Capital Partners, Hanson Bridget, Kaiser Permanente, Summerhill Housing Group, Webcor Builders, and WL Butler. Please give them a round of applause. Then we have our business sponsors. So again, let me thank our business sponsors: the California Apartment Association, the Tri-County Division, Carbon, Carl McClellan Law Firm, Colliers International, DES Architects and Engineers, San Mateo Credit Union, and United American Bank. Thank you so much for supporting our event. So, our media sponsors. This event is filmed today by Peninsula Television, better known as Penn TV. What we do is we not only show it on cable, but we also put it on the Penn TV website. We break up the clips of each of the innovators so that they can use it for marketing purposes, and it helps us showcase these companies that are incredibly innovative in San Mateo County. So we want to thank the San Francisco Business Times, who is our print and online sponsor, and Peninsula Television. Thank you. I hope all of you have your smartphones out, not actually to distract you, but actually to tweet and put up on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. It's Samceda Innovators. It's on the table that you can follow it. So we really hope that you talk about this event and you push it out to your friends and your colleagues. Now I put up our mission statement because Samceda is an organization that was founded in the 1950s. And we are grateful for the founders of Samceda and what we are about, what we were about then in 1950, and what we are about today in 2018. And that's really being a champion for the business community and celebrating business and bringing our partners, and that's government, that is government as it relates to elected officials, it is our nonprofit partners and our educators, and it is bringing them together to talk about business, economy, and policy. So we thought this was a really good slide to show how Samceda is a connector and how we connect different organizations together. And we put business, education, and government because they connect all the pieces of those three circles. And they also connect community because what we are is we are a large, big community. And we live in a very unique place in the world. And I think sometimes we just need to take a moment and appreciate and celebrate where we live, who we are, and how we look at our connections. So Samceda is a great connector. We are also a great contributor and convener. And these logos represent the activities and the organizations that Samceda is involved with. And we are so proud to partner with the organizations that are listed there and be a part. This is San Mateo County's DNA up there, folks. So to look at those organizations and to think about something as a big lift, to have every third grader reading at that level, that's a big deal. To be able to house all the people that want to be housed in San Mateo County through the efforts of Home for All, that's a big deal. So if you look at that, I could talk about each of these, but that would take too much time. I just celebrate them and I thank them. We're also again, contributor and convener. We work with all the chambers of commerce. Let's have all the CEOs of the chamber stand up. I want them acknowledged and celebrated. The chambers of commerce in this county do incredible work. They work in individual communities and they work countywide and they work on your behalf. And we are proud to partner with them. We're also a communicator. So you see, we don't send out emails every Friday. We don't send them out every Monday. We send them out when we have something to say. And when we feel that you should have some information that will be useful to you, either in your company, in your organization, it could be an event that's happening that you might want to take your family to. We try to communicate important things that are happening in San Mateo County or might be happening in our neighboring counties, but that you should be aware of. So we like to surprise you. We're always thinking of great taglines for our emails. We have an incredible open rate. As you know, direct mail, direct marketing online is difficult. So when you have an open rate that exceeds 30% for your emails, you know you're doing something right. So it feels good. So our innovators, we've been doing this for a number of years now. This slide shows you who they are, some of the logos. We couldn't fit them all because we've had 42 innovators over the last 8 years. 7 have had initial public offerings, 5 have merged, 6 were acquired, 6 relocated, and it's interesting because last year we had 5 that had relocated, but they had located to neighboring counties. Out of the 6, 3 of those that relocated, Colorado, Texas, and North Carolina. So it's something for us to think about. But there are 36 of those 42 still headquartered in San Mateo County. I think that deserves a round of applause. And those companies employ 17,000 individuals. 17,000 are employed by our innovators that we've highlighted. I'm kind of excited about that, so I hope you are too. So now going into our program. One of the things that Samceda is extremely proud of, and I was teasing, I want to thank Amanda Hawkins and Christina Fernandez. They are incredible team members. They are incredible support to me at Samceda, and we can't do this event without those two. So I am eternally grateful to them for all that they do at Samceda. And it's about bridging, Samceda is about bridging the past to the future and connecting our past and our present. And the David D. Bohannon Award was started back in 1995 to honor individuals that combine business, smarts, and philanthropy and community give back. So you need to have both of those qualities to be honored with the David D. Bohannon Award. These are our past winners from 1995 to the present. I'm actually going to bring up the grandson of one of the founders of Samceda, David D. Bohannon II, to give the award today. David?
Does this thing move? Everybody here? No? Yeah, good afternoon. I also want to thank Amanda because she provided me with this script that I'm going to need to read. And welcome everybody here. It's my pleasure and honor to give this award. I'd like to, first up, let me invite Daniela, Gasparini. I know your brother, to come up to the podium, please.
It's a different view from up here.
Was that Gino?
Yeah.
You know he's my brother, not my dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're on the chamber board together in Menlo Park. Okay, so Daniela was born and raised in Redwood City, and she's proud to say she's a product of the local Redwood City public education and CSU education systems. She began her 10-year career with the YMCA, then moved directly into nearly a decade in banking as Vice President of Bay Area Bank in Redwood City. In the middle of her YMCA banking career, she was elected to the Redwood City Council at just 29 years old and became mayor of the city 2 years later. While working at Bay Area Bank and sitting on the Redwood City Council, Danny was appointed to the Redwood City San Mateo County Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and became chair. Danny still remains active as a member of the President's Council for the Chamber and is currently Vice Chair of Economic Development.
That's long. You should cut it.
I'm going to keep reading. Daniela considers herself a yes person, so when Sequoia Hospital in Redwood City asked her to help raise the capital dollars necessary to build the new hospital pavilion, she said yes. I'll just read faster. She spent the next several years raising money for Sequoia Hospital Foundation. At that time, Daniela immediately realized her passion for healthcare, and after meeting Bonnie Adario, where she then became the Executive Vice President of Strategic Initiatives at Bonnie J. Adario Lung Cancer Foundation. She helped the organization raise critical dollars and build financial development and capacity strategies to ensure organizational sustainability as the organization moved from a local, founder-based nonprofit to a global force in lung cancer. Today, Danny has taken on the role of consultant and is working with nonprofit organizations to build capacity, organizational structure, and policy. Just completing a contract with the Healthcare Foundation of Northern Sonoma County, she finds herself working with community leaders and the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Activity League has returned to the Bonnie J. Adario Lung Cancer Foundation and has led board leadership training and strategic planning sessions for many nonprofit organizations. You might also find her at the planning counter in East Palo Alto as a development consultant for a small housing project. Or you might find her tending to their family vineyard in Healdsburg, California. Daniela is also the host of a community talk show for Peninsula TV Channel 26 called Penn Voice, and sits on the board of directors of Peninsula TV. She is co-chair of the Peninsula College Fund and is an advisory board member of the Bonnie J. Adario Lung Cancer Foundation. Her list of community recognitions include the Sequoia Award Citizen of the Year, the Redwood City San Mateo Chamber Person of the Year and Businesswoman of the Year, was inducted into the San Mateo County Women's Hall of Fame, the Kennedy Middle School Hall of Fame, and the Woodside High School Community Hall of Fame. Danny credits her husband, Alan Beals, for giving her the opportunity and support to pursue her community passion, and as she is not home most evenings, mornings, or event-filled weekends. When asked about her greatest accomplishment, Danny answers, "Every Monday when I hand back our 3 grandkids and their great nieces alive and unscathed to their parents." That is a huge accomplishment. Please join me in congratulating Daniela Gasparini as the 2018 David D. Bohannon Memorial Award of Excellence recipient.
Wow, oh my God, thank you. Thank you. Okay, you sit down, because I know the reason why you stood is because you can sneak out easier. I've done that trick myself. Most of you in this room who know me are worried about 2 things. 1, what I might say, and 2, how long I might go. So take your bets now as to who might win. But David, thank you so much. Where did you just go? I think you're right there. Thank you so much. Your grandfather is an inspiration to us all, and of course your family has left a fingerprint on this community that will be there for decades and decades and decades to come, so thank you. Roseanne, where are you? Roseanne Faust is really the person that should be up here receiving this award. She is the voice of San Mateo County and has tirelessly been an activist for, sometimes maybe not the popular voice, but she's the one that is really fighting on behalf of economic development and a strong economy, and knowing what the infrastructure needs to be in this community to make all of us successful in order to give back to this community. So Roseanne Faust, I say thank you so much for calling me and telling me that I was the award recipient. I don't believe I should be. I think it should be you, and David Bohannon said my brother earlier, which I would agree wholeheartedly. But let me say one thing. There was a quote, and I don't know if any of you got to see it, but it was something that Roseanne had given to me, that David Dewey Bohannon had said, "I have faith that every individual wants to improve his life and believe that all people have the opportunity of achieving success in America." Little did David Dewey Bohannon know, but that was really my father and mother's same sentiment in coming to this country in 1948. They instilled in my brother and my sister and I that our first and foremost responsibility was to get a job, work as hard as we could, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to never waver from family, and to give back, because if we were to be successful, we had to make sure that everyone was successful. So while our families had very different backgrounds, one being a strong family developer, my family picking up trash, regardless of your socioeconomic paths, the commitment to this community, to this country, to ourselves, and to our nonprofits, I think is shared by all. And I know that my dad right now is smiling down ear to ear, knowing that the Gasparini name was actually mentioned in the same sentence as the Bohannon family name. I want to say that the premise of this country as being the land of opportunity is what we heard as kids. And as long as we could hang off the back of a garbage truck, and it was my responsibility to bring the hogs in when the dump was at Marsh Road, we knew that we were going to work hard for our family and our community. And those of you that do know my brother know that he is tirelessly the one that actually does that, and someone that I tried to follow when I was growing up, because he is so much older than me. My sister as well, who is not here today, and she's actually the oldest of all of us. She was who really I try and mimic from all that I do. But there, I should not be up here. There are individual heroes in this room who decades and decades ago, believed in San Mateo County before it was really San Mateo County. It was just dirt, and who knew what it could vision. But I want to point out and highlight, and I hope you don't mind if I read just a bit, that those who truly believed early in San Mateo County and all that could become and how we could recognize and vision our future. T. Jack Foster, Pete and Paula Uccelli, Don Warren, Paul Shepard, Larry Buckmaster, Gene Mullen, Altelia. They are recognizing the value of this area and for taking the risk and dare to be the first to bring new development, new vision, new political views to San Mateo County. And they are all, other than Al, are still active today in San Mateo County. Alan and I, my husband and I, only hope that someday we could give back as much as Pete and Paula Uccelli have to this community, and I miss Pete every day. Our company heroes, each and every one of you here today, we can look back when Oracle first chose Redwood City to be its global headquarters. Electronic Arts, Genentech. You are still vibrant today, and you have brought so many others to follow in your footsteps. Not only have you brought industry and commerce and jobs, but you've cared about your community, your employees. Every day you give back, and you build schools, and you support education. In Garden Health today, I appreciate the fact that you are in the lung cancer space, because a lot are not. So I want to thank folks like who've just now joined us, Facebook and Google, Stanford University and medical centers. I want to thank healthcare institutions like Sequoia Hospital and Kaiser and Lucille Packard, world-renowned healthcare systems right here in San Mateo County. David D. Bohannon said, "I believe private enterprise systems rewards those with a vision to identify a need and the courage to fill it." These early adopters of San Mateo County, and who are still here today, knew what it was like to take a risk and have courage to locate here in San Mateo County, and to continue to build, and to continue to innovate, and continue to renovate, and continue to reinvent. Thank you to the company heroes and your employees. Your dedication, as I said, has given us better schools, libraries. You've been involved in homeless shelters, creating infrastructure and roadways, being involved in train systems and rail systems and transportation systems. And I should say that I want to thank the leadership of Jim Hartnett at the San Mateo Caltrain and Samtrans systems for your leadership in bringing transportation to the forefront of our conversations. And let's also thank PG&E and Recology, public service companies that continue each day to care about its communities and work tirelessly on behalf of its customer base. I'm going to diverse 1 second and just give 2 public service announcements. I got involved with the Peninsula College Fund about 2.5 years ago, not realizing that I was actually a first-generation child to go to college and to graduate college. It never sort of crossed my mind that I was. But after meeting a dozen or 2 of students from the Peninsula College Fund who are first generation to even actually think about college, get into college, and actually graduate college, I knew that this was something that I wanted to ensure that all kids in our community had access to. I won't bore you with the statistics, but the actual rate in which first-generation students actually get access to college and graduate is dismal, and we have to change that. So I thank the Sobrato Foundation, I thank Facebook, and I thank J. Paul Company for wanting to get involved in this issue because of you, we have 75 new kids starting freshman year this year. The real hero today is Bonnie Adario. And I wish Bonnie was here. Her husband, Tony, is. 13 years ago, Bonnie was diagnosed with lung cancer. Her family and she were told to get her affairs in order. She had about 3 months to live. I'm happy to say that 13 years later, in a global foundation, Bonnie and Tony and their staff are working tirelessly to ensure that lung cancer gets his fair share. I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Lung cancer is still the #1 cancer killer. Lung cancer will take more lives than breast, prostate, and colon combined. Over 150 deaths will occur this year in the United States alone. That's the equivalent of one 747 going down every day. Can you imagine what the FAA would do if they started seeing a trend of an airliner coming down every day, and yet we can't seem to fight this epidemic? I also want to dispel the myth that lung cancer is only a smoker's disease. 80% of newly diagnosed individuals either never smoked or quit decades ago. More individuals will die of breast cancer that were smokers than lung cancer. The 5-year survival rate for lung cancer is 16%. Breast, nearly 90%. And yet, for every dollar we raise in lung cancer, 16 is raised in breast. Don't mean to disparage the various cancers, but I just want you to see the underfunded mandate that we have for a disease that claims so many lives and for one that is fraught with stigma. I'm sorry that I took that time for that commercial, but I felt I really needed to. As I said before, I don't think I really should be the honoree today. I'm merely a facilitator that tries to take community need and match it with companies. And the only reason why that we can do that is because you are so strong, because you have in San Mateo County the vision for an equitable community. So not only do we thrive to succeed and to become better, but we also want to carry our community with us. In closing, I want to take a page out of Mr. Bohannon's playbook. I can't do it alone, nor anyone could do it alone. Please help me thank my family here today, my nieces Christina and Nina, and Alan's son, and our daughter-in-law and grandson Drew, for all of your contribution to your communities, to your family, Kevin for always starting new companies and being that innovator in our family, and supporting your families tirelessly. Lastly, to my husband, Alan Beals, who has impacted his community and my life in the greatest way. He has endured his fair share of rubber chicken dinners and supports every cause or organization I come home and say, I just joined. His history in the community actually outweighs mine. He is a lot older too. He has been totally fine, I always say, with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches while I might be at a meeting. He has afforded me and inspired me to start my own company, which is what drives me today, and that is to support nonprofits in their ambition to grow and to be better and to be bigger and to be faster. I just want to say in closing, I am closing now, I'm sorry, that I'm excited to join the past recipients of this award. I hope there's an asterisk by my name in future years that says, but she invites everyone in this room to be part of this award and to follow Frank Bartoldo, whose last year's award recipient was extra special to me because I think it was Frank who really actually brought community banking to our community and really doing the work decades ago. My gratitude is to each and every one of you for doing the work that you do and to giving back to your community. You are the true David D. Bohannon Award recipients today. Thanks for choosing San Mateo County. Congratulations to the innovators who are here today. And of course, thanks to you for choosing San Mateo County as your home.
I think if you didn't figure out something, Danny just gave us all a call to action. And to me, that's what a part of today is. It's to encourage everyone to go out and to do what you need to do to make San Mateo County the place for future generations, as our past generations have done. So thank you, Danny. Thank you for all your kind words, and congratulations. So we are going to move on to our Innovator Awards, and each of the innovators will come up. We do it in alphabetical order by name of company. And the first one, they're going to tell you about what they do and who they are. And this is a fantastic group. And the first one is Maureen Fan, who is the president and CEO of Baobab Studios. Baobab Studios.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Baobab Studios. I'm going to show you a quick clip about what we do, which is VR animation, and then talk a little bit more about what our company does.
At Baobab Studios, we're focused on doing immersive storytelling in virtual reality with characters that audiences can fall in love with. I had been working for over 20 years directing feature animated films as a director on Ants and a writer and director on all the Madagascar films, and put on a VR headset for the first time. It blew me away. It's like this undiscovered frontier.
We see virtual reality as a new medium for telling stories and creating great cinematic experiences that are character-driven. It allows people to be taken to places and to worlds that otherwise wouldn't exist.
When audiences saw Invasion, they reacted to the world and the characters in ways that we never imagined. And that interactivity and that connection and that eye contact was really significant, and we realized we were really onto something. So then when hand controllers came out, we started our next piece, Asteroids, determined to make the viewer a character inside this story that had hands that could actually interact with the world around them.
Our next piece started off as a Native American folktale that was spread through word, and we are turning it next into a VR animation to take the story to the next level.
Another way we look at what we're doing at Baobab Studios is to take advantage of what we already know about the empathy of filmmaking and cinema and the interactivity of games and the motivation to act that we have in real life when things really matter and we really care. And so when we have all those pieces of the puzzle working together, then we have an experience that's unlike an experience you could have in any other medium.
How many of you guys have tried VR? Okay, all of you who haven't need to try it immediately for the sake of our company, but also for the entire industry in Silicon Valley. Okay, Another question, how many of you consider yourselves athletes? Okay. How about singer-songwriters or musicians or rock stars? No one? How about astronaut? None. Okay, well, if you guys were 5 years old, you would have probably answered yes to all 3 questions I just asked. So the question is, what happens from when you're 5 to becoming an adult that makes you think that you're not? For me, yeah, jobs. For me, I dreamed of being She-Ra, Princess of Power, which is why I'm CEO of this company. But I believe that there's still a dreamer inside us all. And something happens as we get older where we start conforming to societal values of fame, money, fortune, beauty. But I still believe there's a dreamer inside us all. And I know this to be true because it's why we go to the movies or play games. It's to experience stories and characters beyond those that we can meet and experience in our daily lives today. And I believe that animation does this better than live action, because while live action is still constrained by reality, animation is constrained only by the creativity within the director's head, which is freedom, which means you can imagine anything possible. And for animation, it's art in motion. It makes you believe that this world that's completely imagined is so real that you think you could reach out and touch it. And what I just said, which is takes you to a completely different world, one that you could have never imagined, and make it feel so real that you think you could reach out and touch it, is also the definition of virtual reality, which is why we think animation and VR were made for each other. And the mission of our company is ultimately to bring out that sense of wonder that you had when you were a 5-year-old, to inspire you to dream again, and to make you realize that you have so much more potential within yourself than you realize. And if we would just dare to let ourselves dream, that we would actually go for it and fulfill more of our potential. And so that is ultimately the mission of our company. So I co-founded this company with Eric Darnell. He's the writer and director of all 4 Madagascar films. I'm guessing you guys have hopefully heard of that film. And he netted $2.5 billion in the box office, which I like to say because that's how I sell the company. But he also directed Ants, so PDI DreamWorks' first ever full-length animated film. So he's the chief creative officer. And my third co-founder, Larry Cutler, actually graduated from Stanford about a decade before me. He went to Pixar early days in Toy Story 2, as well as Monsters, Inc., and then went on to become DreamWorks' global head of character technology across all their films, and is also a judge for the Technical Achievement Awards. And we felt it was really important to have 3 co-founders, me on the business side, Eric on the creative side, and Larry on the technical side, because we believe in diversity. And I don't mean just diversity in terms of gender and race, but also in disciplines. Oftentimes CEOs will naturally bias towards their own function, and it's important once you have diverse points of views to make sure no individual discipline overpowers another. Therefore, we have more balanced decision making. And just quick background, while my other 2 co-founders come more from film, I was at Pixar on Toy Story 3, but most recently I was vice president of games at Zynga, where I was there for 6 years, right when they started, and looked over the Farmville franchise for 6 years, so a very long time. Crazy ups and downs, but taught me a lot about starting companies. So why did we do VR? Well, first of all, I love animation, as I just told you. And when I graduated from Stanford, my mom told me that I'd be poor and destitute if I followed my dreams in entertainment. So as a dutiful Asian daughter, I went to eBay, where I was the UI designer. But I found my way back to my passion. So I'm really excited about animation in particular. But we think storytelling is ultimately incredibly important, because how many of you guys have read the book Sapiens? Few of you. It's a really amazing book about the theory of evolution and why Homo sapiens won out amongst all as a species. And one of the hypotheses is because of our ability to tell each other rumors or storytelling. If someone's like, don't go into that bush over there, there's a dangerous animal there. Or rumors in terms of, oh, Thor, I just made up a name, but Thor killed this lion in this special way, and all the kids around the campfire are like, oh my gosh, I want to be just like him. And so these stories are how we experience other people's lives. We wonder, what would I do if I were in that situation? How would I react? What does it mean to be human? And in VR, and in film and books, you read about it and you think, what would it be like for me to actually be in that scenario? But in VR, you can actually be that character. You're actually role-playing. You're not just passively wondering, what would I do? You actually act. And people say you don't really have memories of watching movies, but when people come out of the VR headset, they remember, they have dreams about it. They actually remember going through that. So what does it mean? I know Striver is here. Jeremy Bailenson at Stanford has done research studies of you inhabiting, looking at a mirror and seeing that you are a Black woman, or going through the experience of being someone homeless. They show that once you take the headset off, you actually react differently to that demographic group. You have more empathy. You actually feel the way, more so the way they feel, and you are more likely to donate, you're more likely to help to these, with these groups. So it does actually bring out your empathy. So we've created 3 pieces so far. One is called Invasion, and that won an Emmy last year, which we're really happy about, and is also getting turned into a feature film by Roth Kirschenbaum Films, who made Maleficent, Snow White and the Huntsman, and also Alice in Wonderland. And also, that was starring Ethan Hawke. Asteroids, which was starring Elizabeth Banks and also YouTube star Ingrid Nilsson. And our latest is the one I'm most excited about, and we haven't launched yet, but is coming out this year. It's called Legend of Crow, and it's based off of a Native American tale about how the crow used to have gorgeous rainbow feathers and a beautiful singing voice. And in our piece, it's John Legend. He's as amazing as everyone thinks he is. But he flies into the sun to bring warmth and fire back to the earth to sacrifice for the community, but in the process, burns all his feathers black from the sun's flames, and the voice becomes like a crow's that you know today. So he's sad because he thinks he's lost everything that made him beautiful, but when the sunlight hits his feathers, he realizes that it's iridescent, and the colors of the rainbow are still there, and realizes that beauty is within. But the reason I'm really excited about this is, one, it's a Native American tale. Native Americans were told that in re-education camps, that they weren't allowed to tell these pagan stories, but also because it's themes of diversity. So we have John Legend, Constance Wu, and also Diego Luna, and 3 other stars that I can't mention yet, who are big deals. But as you see, it's a very diverse cast. And I'm excited about getting minorities and women not only in front of the camera, but behind the camera as well. So we're really excited about that entire cast. Now, before I leave, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. Imagine you see a little girl crying on a park bench, and she's too young to be by herself. If you watch her crying in a film, you feel really bad for her, but you're not gonna get out of your theater seat to go help her. In a game, you go talk to her because you wanna get to be a hero, to get information, to fulfill a quest, to get to the next level, to win. And in real life, you talk to her because you genuinely care about her and you want to help her. We believe with AR and VR, you have the potential to have the empathy of films, the agency of games, and the motivation of real life, where you have the bigger than life stories, but not only can you empathize with these characters, you can actually do something about your caring and help these characters. And ideally, you do it because you genuinely care about them, not just because you're trying to win. And we think this is the promise, at least for Baobab, this is our creative vision of what VR and AR allows you to do. So I'm really excited about achieving this. Our company has been around for 2.5 years, and we've raised about 31 million. Hopefully that's enough to go through the trough of disillusionment that every single tech company goes through for the cycle. But I hope you'll join us on this journey, and thank you very much.
Let's give another round of applause to Maureen Phan, the president and CEO. So how many after that talk are going to go out and try AR and VR? I think I'm going to. I like the princess idea, just saying. So our next company that we are bringing up is Guardant Health, and we have the co-founder and CEO, Helmy El-Touki.
Thank you, Roseanne. I want to say it's an honor and a privilege to accept this award on behalf of Guardant and the patients that we serve. I'm a lifetime resident of the Bay Area, most of that in Redwood City, and I really feel blessed to be part of this community. I co-founded 2 companies in Redwood City, and I don't think that would have been possible almost anywhere else. We have such an amazing confluence of talent, of access to capital, and pretty darn good weather as well. So, let me tell you a little bit about Guardant. Our mission is to conquer cancer with data. The company is about 6 years old. We've raised about $500 million in financing. We're going to probably cross 400 employees this year. We work with top global pharma companies, but most importantly, we've helped over 60,000 patients with cancer. Our products are available in almost every cancer center in the United States, and we're in about 42 countries right now. So let me tell you a little bit about what we do. We're one of the pioneers in this concept called a liquid biopsy, which is a way of essentially seeing signatures of cancer in a tube of blood. And so the first test we launched about 4 years ago is able to serve late-stage cancer patients where they're often not matched with the best possible treatments because the physicians don't really know that much about what's driving the disease. And the only way to do that before our test was actually to physically cut a piece of the tumor out through a biopsy. And so we can get that information through a simple blood test today. There are about 1.65 million metastatic patients in the US. As we make our technology more sensitive, we'll be able to help almost 10 times as many individuals, cancer survivors, those who had cancer but now are worried about recurrence. And every single one of those patients is worried that they're going to wake up one day and their cancer is going to be back. And so we're very close. We have a large research program developing a product there, and we're very close to launching something for that population. But the vision from day one has been to get to a level of sensitivity and specificity such that we can essentially enable that idea of a simple blood test at an annual physical. And we have a large research program working on this as well. And so eventually we'll have a continuum of tests that span the entire care continuum from beginning to end. So before we launched our first test, Guardant 360, I'll take the example of lung cancer that Danny so eloquently talked about. It used to take about 4 weeks, cost about $15,000 for a tissue biopsy, with a 19% complication rate and a 1% mortality rate. So not easy to get that information that's so critical for treatment for lung cancer patients. With our test, now it's a simple blood draw, under 7-day turnaround time, and probably about a third of the cost of the biopsy-based approach. Why is it so important to get this information for lung cancer patients? It's because it almost doubles the survival rate for those patients, from 1.3 years to almost 2.8 years if patients are matched with the correct therapies. And these aren't therapies that are in clinical trials. These are therapies that are sitting on the shelf somewhere, but the physician has no idea that the patient is a candidate for that drug. I can tell the story and how critical it is, but I'll leave it to Mark, who's a lung cancer patient that we helped a couple years ago, who can tell the story much more eloquently than I can.
I just have a sense of freedom, flying through the woods, up and down hills. It's a big kick for me. My name is Mark. I'm a professional photographer in Atlanta, Georgia. I've got 3 daughters, very happily married. I'm an avid cyclist, and I've got stage 4 lung cancer. My scan indicated a 5.1 centimeter in length tumor and metastasis throughout my chest cavity and a cancerous lymph node on my liver. Once it started to sink in, I just knew that it was going to be a tough fight, and I'm prepared. Genetic mutations are what treating lung cancer is all about with successful outcomes. I was told that there was nothing there that's targetable. That was probably the biggest blow. Blood biopsies, or liquid biopsies as they call them, are kind of on the horizon. I said, I'll be happy to give up 2 vials of blood if we might be able to find something. And sure enough, we got the good news that the Guardant 360 test had revealed an EGFR mutation. I about dropped the telephone. I'm enjoying dramatic results. With this cutting-edge testing, we can cut out a lot of the guesswork and match mutations to known effective therapy. I had a lot of things in my life to look forward to, one being my daughter's wedding, and I'll have a high school graduation coming up for my youngest daughter. I've got all the tools that I need to fight this, and I am grateful every day.
Yes, it's been amazing to know Mark and other patients like him where, we're able to do something. But, we definitely want to do even more. Unfortunately, there aren't that many drugs out there for many cancer types. And so that's where our collaborations with some of the top world's pharma companies is so important. The good news is there are many trials out there. There's 3,000 immuno-oncology trials, but they can't find enough patients fast enough. And the information is very complex that's coming out of this to be able to accurately target cancers based on molecular information. And so in order to address this need, last year we launched a liquid biopsy that's 10 times bigger that essentially covers every known pathway in cancer. And the good news is almost every top pharma company is on board now. We have Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Bristol, and many others who are using this technology to really speed up clinical development. And so we're very excited by what the future holds in terms of better drugs and better interventions for later stage patients. But that being said, I think the ultimate goal is to catch cancer earlier when it's more easily cured. And so we have our LUNAR program, which we launched 2 years ago. And in this program, we're going beyond just genetic mutations, which we're really good at. We're almost at theoretical limits of detection. And we're looking at immune signatures and epigenetic signatures and putting all of this information so that we can see a holistic picture of what's going on in the individual before the cancer, while the cancer can still be treated easily. And how are we doing this? The reason I think our company is unique is, and our mission statement is conquer cancer with data, is the more information we are able to get from cancer patients that we help, the more they help us develop better technology. And so we get genomic data from our testing. We have banked samples we do further testing on to turbocharge that rate of improvement. That has led to our current products, but as we test more and more patients, it'll lead to our future pipeline. And just to put it into perspective, since we launched Garden 360 about 3 years ago, we've helped about 50,000 patients. And because of that data we've collected, we've improved the sensitivity of the test by almost an order of magnitude. And so that's why now we're about to launch a test for cancer survivors. But to get to early detection, we have to sequence 10 times as many. And so we have a goal of helping about 1 million patients in the next 5 years. And that nice kind of symbiotic relationship is going to be really helpful in enabling early detection with a simple blood test. Thank you.
Thank you to Helmy El-Touki, the founder, co-founder, and CEO of Garden Health. Thank you. So now I'd like to bring to the stage Myra Pasick, the General Counsel of Impossible Foods. How many of you have had an Impossible Foods burger? Wow. And for the rest of you, I think we need to go out and have one.
Hi, I'm really happy to be here and super proud to be here. I'm going to let the video do the talking first, and then I'll try to keep my remarks reasonably short.
I grew up eating burgers probably once a week. On Sunday, my family would go out, buy a bunch of burgers, bring them home, and watch a movie on TV. It's such a canonical food. The flavor and aroma and texture and the juiciness and all of that. But there's this huge dilemma that's posed by the fact that the way that we're producing meat is using a land area bigger than North America, South America, Australia, and Europe combined. The cows living on Earth outweigh every living wild mammal by a factor of 10. Animal farming is using an amount of water that could fill San Francisco Bay every day. So how in the world are we going to do this? There's actually an incredibly simple solution. Give people all the meat that they want, but just produce it from completely non-animal sources. What we had to do was some really, really deep fundamental science to understand, just in molecular terms, all the features of a burger. When you have the experience of the aroma and the flavor of beef in your head, it's just, this can only be one thing, the delicious fresh cooked burger. But if you take those molecules, separate them out one by one and smell them, 0 of them smell like meat. They smell like caramel and butter, burning match, lilacs, pineapple martini was one of them. You know, there's no meat molecule. The magic of meat is just this combination of ingredients that can be found from completely non-animal sources. Potatoes, wheat, coconuts, a little bit from soybeans. We pull out very specific components from each of those sources in just the right proportions and get something that looks, tastes, and cooks like ground beef. The thing that I call the magic ingredient for the flavor is heme. It's the molecule that carries oxygen, makes blood red. Yeast, actually, what's been used for many hundreds of years to make certain Belgian beers, makes heme very well. You get this potent aroma of beef. What we're producing is meat, the delicious flavor and the nutrition, and we've just figured out a way to produce it that doesn't have all the environmental destructive impact. I mean, I'm envisioning people having the same great experience with family and friends. There's the aroma and the sizzle, but I can also imagine the kids saying, wow, you actually used to make these things out of animals. How wild is that?
Let me say first that my founder and CEO, Pat Brown, is a genius. He ran a lab at Stanford. He's a biochemist. He studied cancer. And he took a sabbatical about 6 years ago and thought to himself, what can I do with my skill set to solve the biggest problem that I can think of? And he very quickly came to the conclusion that the biggest impact he could make with his skill set in the world was to replace the animal farming system completely, which is incredibly destructive. He would call it the most destructive industry on earth, and it would be true if anybody does the research. He decided that with his skill set, he could find a way to make a technology that would make meat directly from plants rather than having to use an animal as the method of production in between the plants and the meat. I mean, a cow eats grass, it turns that grass into its body, and we kill its body and we eat that food. So his idea is just take the animal out and go directly from the plants to the meat. So if it's not clear from the video, the animal farming industry is the biggest driver of water usage in the world. It is a bigger greenhouse gas emitter than any industry in the world, including transportation. And if you include in transportation virtually every car, train, truck, boat, rocket, airplane, everything. The reason no one talks about it is because people have thought up to now that it's not a solvable problem. And Pat Brown, the genius biochemist, decided it is a solvable problem. So he founded Impossible Foods in Seaport Center in Redwood City, and was able to attract an amazing team of scientists. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just talk about the burger. We decided to make a burger first because, well, for a simple reason. It's an iconic American food. Everybody loves a burger. And the ground beef market in the US alone is a $30 billion market. About 10 billion pounds of ground beef are sold every year in the US, and about half of that is sold in restaurants. So we decided to go after the ground beef market And we only sell our product in restaurants, and at this point, we're in about 900 restaurants all over the country. So that happened pretty quickly, and I've kind of been there for the whole ride. So it's been really exciting to go from a research company all the way to serving burgers in restaurants that all of you can go to, like Gott's Roadside in Palo Alto. The counter carries our burger. There's a small restaurant called Vino and Teca in Palo Alto you can get it at. You can get it at Jardiniere in the city. You can get it at Umami Burger, Fat Burger, Wall Burgers on the East Coast. So it's pretty exciting that we've ramped up to this point already. And so going back to our roots in Redwood City, when I joined the company, there were about 30 employees. We employ now over 300. Pat was able to attract some of the most amazing scientists to his team. And what that team does is basically it started out reverse engineering meat. They took meat, they broke it down to the molecular level. Like Pat talked about on the video, if you go down to each molecule of meat, you can kind of figure out what it is and what it does and what function it performs in meat. And then the scientists can take plants and try to find molecules that will do exactly the same thing as the molecules do in meat. And our science teams have cool names like Protein Disco, which stands for Protein Discovery. That group looks at plant proteins and purifies them into their pure form and sees what kind of tricks they'll do when they're in their pure form. Every plant has a gamish of different proteins, but it turns out if you separate them into their own little groups, that they'll do really neat things that they won't do when they're all diluted and mixed up. So for instance, you might find a plant protein that will give you a stretchy material like pizza cheese and things like that. So the scientists got busy in the lab with the food, and the kitchen got busy trying to make these things into animal products. So anyway, the company has probably about, I'm the lawyer, so I've been pretty deeply involved in the patent portfolio. We have about 200 patents pending worldwide. The one key discovery that Pat talked about on the video was the heme molecule. The scientists found that heme is the magic molecule that makes meat taste like meat. I'll try to explain it really simply. So in your blood, you've got hemoglobin. In your muscles, you've got myoglobin. Myoglobin is what's in meat. It's a heme cofactor, which is a molecule, and it's surrounded by a protein. So if it's myoglobin, it's a different protein. If it's hemoglobin in your blood, it's a different protein, and we get our heme protein from plants. So the only difference is the protein surrounding this very same heme cofactor. The heme cofactor is atom for atom identical in meat, in your blood, or in leg hemoglobin, which is where we get our heme protein. So what happens when you heat up meat is the protein denatures and opens up, and that heme cofactor floats out, and say that you've got a burger on the grill. Floats out and starts catalyzing flavors with all the amino acids, simple sugars, vitamins, and minerals that occur in the muscle tissue of meat. The reason everybody wants to eat their burger right hot off the grill is because all that flavor chemistry is popping at that time. If you stuck your hamburger in the fridge and tried to eat it the next day, it would taste like cardboard. So it's that flavor chemistry that really makes the magic of meat. And what Impossible Foods has done, under the leadership of Pat Brown, is recreate that exact same flavor chemistry in a plant-based product. So we took a plant-based heme protein. Heme is the stuff of life. You can't live without it. You die. That's why carbon monoxide works to kill people, because it hooks to the heme protein and keeps it from delivering oxygen. So it's a ubiquitous molecule, but we got ours from plants, and basically recreated that flavor chemistry in a 100% plant-based product. It's an incredibly exciting company. I've loved every minute of working there. And as Pat says, we're not done until we've created a substitute for virtually every food currently made by animals. And he says that when we're done, you'll be able to see the impact from outer space of what we've done. One statistic I'm going to leave you with is animal farming currently uses 3/4 of the dry land on Earth between growing food for animals and raising the animals. Again, it's the biggest driver of using water, it's the biggest driver of greenhouse gases, and it's the biggest driver of eliminating wild animals from our planet because we just keep using more and more land to make food from animals. So if Impossible Foods is successful in making meat eaters love meat from plants as much as they love meat from animals, we can make a big difference. So I'd encourage everybody to go out, give it a try. Give us your feedback at hello@impossiblefoods.com, and we're going all the way.
Thank you, Myra Pasick, the General Counsel of Impossible Foods. So we are going to go into our last 3 innovators. I want to let folks know that the CEO of Striver, they're actually at South by Southwest, which happens to be taking place today, and he's doing a presentation down in Texas. So I am going to bring up the founder and CEO, Eldar Sadikoff of Jetlore.
So I don't have any videos. I've listened to all these presentations, and everyone had a video, and I thought, wow, this is going to be tough to wow this crowd. But I have some visuals, I have some slides, and hopefully I can communicate the basic idea behind Jetlore quite easily. So AI is a very hot topic nowadays. I think you hear this word probably way too many times. It's almost, it almost became, lipstick on a pig. It's just everyone talks about it. I think one of the exciting things about AI is that it needs to be applied in a very concrete, vertical-oriented way. And hopefully today you'll see one of the examples of how this could be applied. So first, a little bit behind Jetlore, a little history on us. We're a technical company, so I think a big theme about many companies that came out so far has been that it's technology companies, it's technical companies, and we're pretty much in the same vein. The company was started by 3 PhDs, including myself, and we now have half of our management team have pursued or have finished their doctorate degrees. And we've also been lucky to come out of Stanford, incubated at Stanford. Also, the founders came out of Stanford, and we got recognized, because of our innovation, our growth. So, I'm very excited to be privileged to be recognized by San Francisco Business Times and Gartner. We're also very lucky to work with some of the larger, mostly retail and consumer businesses out there, including eBay, Nordstrom, JCPenney, and a few others. So obviously the basic idea behind Jetlore, I'll get to it in a second, but it's about predicting what consumers will do. And we want to be the company that will predict everything about the consumer. What's the size of the consumer? What is the set of colors that you're gonna choose when you buy shoes or you buy clothes or anything? What sort of brands do you prefer when you buy electronics? That's the kind of thing that we want to accomplish, and we want to do it in a way that will be non-privacy invasive, obviously, to a consumer. And obviously, the idea of prediction or the idea of trying to guess what the consumer is likely to do is not new in this space. And this is just a few examples of the systems that we've all seen maybe. Like, for example, you look at Amazon, and Amazon obviously has a concept of recommendations, and we've been using them, we've been very accustomed to them in the past decade, I would say, where you put something in your shopping cart and then you get products, similar products to what you put in the shopping cart suggested to you. But obviously none of that really makes me feel like the system knows who I am, because that doesn't mean that my size, the colors I like to buy. And one of the biggest hurdles with existing systems is that they support one-to-many relationships. They support this kind of this segment-based style where we try to approximate a human with a group of other humans that look like me versus treating me as a standalone individual with unique attributes about me, with unique things about me, like, I like gray color when I buy suits, or, I like specific brands, and, I'm size medium and I like trim fit, that type of stuff. And what's, the basic idea behind Jetlore is really about treating individual consumer as a consumer. So this is me, and what is the set of attributes that uniquely defines me? Why am I buying this item? Why is this important? What's driving my purchases? And not trying to approximate me with just high-level segment and saying, hey, you look like 30-something-year-olds that live in San Mateo. That's not enough. I want to be treated as a standalone individual with my unique preferences and attributes. So at a high level, this is the basic idea behind Jetlore. You have a consumer like Mary. She shops online, pick any of your favorite retailers, Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, somebody like that. And she comes on site, she goes to the stores on a regular basis, and what we want to know is, behind all this data, behind everything that she's doing, what defines her uniquely? Is this, is she petite size? Does she like V-neck and 3/4 sleeve? Does she like cashmere as her favorite material? And what is the set of brands that she feels very loyal to? Those are the examples of things that we want to predict about that consumer and uniquely calculate the exact probability of this consumer having that preference, this consumer likely to buy cashmere versus cotton versus something else. And so the way we do it is a very simplistic, this is a very cartoonish way of how this works, but this gives you an idea of what we're trying to accomplish, is that it kind of gives you an idea of how simple the idea is, but at the same time, when you try to put it into practice, it's actually quite complex. So the basic idea is that every piece of content that's out there, meaning in the product catalog that a retailer or commerce business has a very unique set of attributes about it. Specifically, that dress that you have in the left top corner, it has obviously the brand, it has crew neck, it has cap sleeves. Those are very unique stylistic preferences. The same thing with that pair of shoes. It's no heel, flat shoes, very formal, leather-made, Calvin Klein brand. And then same applies for the bottom two items. Let's say Mary, as a consumer, goes and buys that dress. Naturally, we can say that the attributes of that dress probably describe this consumer, meaning that what this means is that if the woman bought that dress, that means that cap sleeves and foxstrap skirt and crew neck is something that she cares about. And so that's, expected, right? If the woman bought it, there's probably a reason why she bought it. But the question is, which ones are more important? What are the specific things that made her buy it? We can calculate a priori, looking at many, many, many different consumers and looking at their repeated behavior. We can look a priori and say, hey, actually cap sleeves tends to be way more important as an attribute to women than Calvin Klein. She may not be as loyal to the brand, but she actually cares a lot about that specific style of sleeves. And we can associate the probability with that. But then obviously consumers take so many actions online that we need to change the picture of who she is very quickly based on her behavior. So as she starts taking more and more actions online, let's say she looks at a product online like that pair of shoes, now we can get a much more accurate picture about her. We can say, all right, that pair of shoes happens to also share this one attribute with the dress, which happens to be Calvin Klein. So probably Calvin Klein is something that she cares about way more than the cap sleeves. And then we keep doing this over and over again with every action that the consumer has taken, even if she ignores something. Let's say we present to her a scarf, and then she ignores that scarf. Well, that tells us maybe she doesn't care about scarves. Maybe she doesn't care about beige. Maybe she doesn't care about silk, whatever that might be. But that tells us information. And so over time, as we get hundreds of different data points about the consumer, we get a very accurate representation of who that consumer is and what are the things that really matter to that consumer. And it's done in real time in a sense that within milliseconds we can update our understanding of who that consumer is and what they're likely to do, what size they're looking for, what style and preferences they care about. And that's what Jetlore is all about. We want to be that prediction company. We want to be that prediction platform that will predict what each consumer is all about, what they're looking for, so that then when we go to our favorite stores, our in-store associate will greet you and will say, hey, I know that you tend to prefer petite size or you tend to prefer plus size, and I know that you like this set of brands, and I know you like blue when it comes to shirts. I have some inventory for you. Or you call a call center and you say, where's my order? And they tell you, listen, and they know who you are and they know what you're likely to buy. And the same thing with on-site, online experience. Every time you're going to go to a site, the site needs to sort all the content for you so that the items that you'll see will fit you, will match your style, will match your size, will match your color preferences. That's the vision we have, and we want this not just for retail, but we want this for any consumer company, whether it's travel, and you're thinking of amenities, what amenities you actually like in hotels, flights, retail, and media businesses, meaning that you go and read content online. Well, we need to know what you actually are gonna, what sort of attributes you care about in the content. So why is this important? Obviously, our short-term plan is to cover retail and consumer brands space, and it's important because every retail and consumer brand needs to know its customers. They need to understand and know the customer. Number two is that they need to create relevant experiences, because why should I shop, let's say with Nordstrom versus, Neiman Marcus versus Amazon, is because hopefully one of them knows me very well and they have the assortment that I need, and I can find it, and it's going to be of my size and it's going to be of my preferences. And that ultimately translates into dollars for those companies, because we don't need thousands of retailers, but each one of them, if each one of them knows us very well, then obviously I'll be much more loyal to them and I'll actually spend more money with them. And then overall, it just creates better automation, because if I can have a system that can make all these predictions, then I can probably automate a lot of the marketing activities, especially when it comes to geography and especially when it comes to different channels. And so this is just some of the customers we work with. Obviously, a lot of the household brands you're going to recognize, and we're very privileged to work with them. For many of them, we obviously generate, very high uplift in sales and revenue, because if consumers like what they see, they spend more money and they stay on site and they shop more. And just at a high level, just to sum it up, I think that this is a pretty complex slide, I think, for this presentation. But the basic idea is that the applications are very wide here. I gave you some applications, but in-store experience, on-site search, email, automated email content, automated content of home pages and mobile applications. Those are just some of the examples of the things that you can do with our platform. We're a fast-growing business, growing, doubling every year, and very excited to be here and be recognized at this ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you to Jetlore and Eldar Sadikoff, the CEO. So now we are bringing up Varun Badwar, the founder and CEO of Redlock. Varun? Oh, there you are.
Perfect. Thank you. Great to be here. It feels like the Oscars in San Mateo County. It's amazing. Thank you for having us here. Was a video supposed to be here in between? We'll go the video route here first.
As your organization embraces public cloud computing, security and compliance challenges can become top of mind. The first challenge is that while the cloud enables your team to be more agile, configuration changes occur without any security oversight, and mistakes are inevitable. The second challenge is that multiple users have privileged access to cloud computing environments, and it's important to monitor for suspicious activities to detect account compromises and insider threats. The third challenge is that without a physical network boundary to the internet, your attack surface increases by orders of magnitude in the cloud. It's now more important than ever to vigilantly monitor network traffic, but your traditional network monitoring tools simply don't have context on cloud workloads. And lastly, identifying vulnerable hosts is more difficult in the cloud. You can't rely on your existing vulnerability management tools alone. They perform periodic scans of the environment and identify unpatched hosts based on IP address. But IP addresses in the cloud are constantly changing, making results unreliable. Seem overwhelming? Now you can address all of these problems with a single platform, RedLock Cloud 360. RedLock uses AI to correlate traditionally disparate data sets, including resource configurations, user activities, network traffic, host vulnerabilities, and threat intelligence to create context. This means that you can not only see what might go wrong in your environment, but also what is going wrong. Best of all, RedLock Cloud 360 doesn't require agents or proxies and only takes minutes to deploy. With the RedLock Cloud 360 platform, you can comprehensively secure your AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud environments. It helps you solve 3 key problems. Compliance assurance. With out-of-the-box policies that map cloud resource configurations to popular compliance frameworks, you can monitor, auto-remediate, and report on compliance risks across your entire environment. Security governance, helping you see what is being deployed, how it's being deployed, and by who. Security operations, identifying vulnerabilities, detecting threats, investigating incidents, and auto-remediating issues across your entire cloud computing environment in minutes. Getting started is easy. Visit www.redlock.io to learn more about cloud threat defense.
Thank you. That was probably a whole lot of gibberish for most of you here. How many of you here wake up thinking about cybersecurity every morning? And how many of you got breached with Equifax? How many of your social security numbers are out on the internet now? Probably everybody's, even if you don't know it, just saying. So, I feel like security is one of those thankless jobs. I think, we're really glad to be sort of recognized here today. It's one of those things we don't care about in our lives. We don't want to hear about it until you hear in the news that all voter records were breached or Equifax took away everybody's social security numbers and this information's out there. So, we've been in business for about 3 years, based in Menlo Park, from the 2 of us who started on Bohannon Drive to now being on the other side also in a Bohannon property. So we should probably be exchanging numbers. Would love to figure out how to stay in Menlo Park long term. But look, the only things I'll say here, and just keep this brief, I know we're running over time on this event, is security is something that we really, really believe should be top of mind for each and every one of us. I think the only way we can influence our governments, our elections, our devices, our data is if we're all mindful about everything we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And what RedLock is focused on is really the cloud, right? This advent of making it easy to move your data centers, move your applications into public cloud, but also the risks associated with that. Just last year, Uber got breached, lost 50 million records because of problems in the cloud. 99% of all voter records were breached because of a problem in the cloud. So, we're obviously focused on the businesses that are transforming and that you're trusting with your data in public cloud. And, really excited to be here in the peninsula working with not just high-tech companies, but also sort of businesses worldwide in, securing what we believe is the future of sort of generations to come, as well as future of our governments, our freedom, and our privacy. So with that said, thank you very much.
Thank you, Varun, and thank you, RedLock. Thank you for being in San Mateo County. I'd like to bring up our last innovator, Christy Stromberg, Chief Marketing Officer for Shopkick. And there will be a video that I believe will start.
It's an app that you can use to get free stuff.
What an easy way to earn money, and you don't even have to pull any money out of your pocket.
You just open up your app, it tells you what retailers are nearby that you can earn kicks.
If I can splurge, I'm using the kicks instead of just money.
All you have to do to earn kicks is to check into the store or scan the barcode.
He loves hearing the magical sound when we find the treasure and we scan it.
Just get a couple scans in and then I'm that much closer to a gift card.
We have saved tons of money by using Shopkick.
Shopkick, Shopkick.
So hi everyone, and thanks for honoring Shopkick. Hopefully you got a sense for what the Shopkick experience is like from that video. It's a fun app that helps consumers earn points towards free gift cards. But it's much more than that. It's a marketplace business that benefits not only consumers, but also the retailers and brands that you saw in that video. And it's enabled all via the smartphone. So let's take some that Shopkick provides. To consumers, you saw some glimpses of this. It helps them be entertained, but also helps them be empowered and have a sense of accomplishment. They're competing and they're earning. It also gives them a sense of community because people like to Shopkick together. It's fun. They go out in the world and do things together. For our retail and brand partners, we provide a bunch of different benefits. We're a new and different way of driving traffic, of driving people into retail stores, to particular shelves, to websites, to mobile apps, to discover new products, and to ultimately purchase them. And so here's how it works. Shopkick has reward points called kicks. It's kind of an in-app currency that can be used to motivate and drive and reward different behaviors. And consumers will do a lot of different things in competition to collect these kicks. They'll go to a store that they've never been to before. They'll try a different brand. They'll switch brands. They'll try new products. They'll take an extra trip that week to the store. They'll even drive farther to get more kicks at a particular store. So these are all new and different ways that we're providing retailers and brands of discovering new products and changing behavior. And we know how important it is for retailers to be able to drive people into their stores for those businesses to thrive. But we're not just about driving people into physical stores. We want to reward consumers for shopping behaviors across all different environments, anytime, anywhere. So whether on the computer, on the phone, in the store, we do multiple things to help drive consumers to explore and discover and purchase and try new products and provide those methodologies to our retail and brand partners. And this approach is working for consumers. They spend more time in our app than any other shopping app. For retailers and brand partners, it's an effective way of driving incremental sales with a highly effective and efficient ROI. And given our coverage across the US, we're amassing a really unique data set of consumer behaviors. This is just a sample of the types of clients we work with, our partners who have, across industries and segments, who have incorporated Shopkick into their marketing mix and are finding success in doing so. So with that, thank you. Thanks for having me here, and thanks for honoring Shopkick. If you'd like to check out the app, it is free, and it's on the App Store and Google Play. And if you're interested in Shopkick as a marketing solution, please come see me afterwards or check out shopkick.com, the partner section of our site. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So let's give a huge round of applause for our innovators. I'm sitting back there and I'm thinking about all these companies in San Mateo County and saying, wow, this is our future. Very exciting. Please join us for our annual meeting back here at the Oracle Conference Center in June. Please Join us for Birdies for Business in September at the Sanford Golf Course. I want to thank Oracle. I want to thank all of our sponsors and all of you for joining us today. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.